Right, we're here in the very lovely Rockery in Brighton, and I'm going to do a little bit of a tutorial showing people how I go about taking stereoscopic photospheres. Basically, the setup is two GoPros with modified ultra-wide angle lenses, 185 degrees. I'll put a link to those where you can buy them in the description. And basically, the process is very simple. I use two cameras because it probably gives a better result than using a single camera with an offset. And as you can see, it's made out of wood. It's not particularly impressive, but it does the job. I got the cameras on a diagonal. You don't have to have them on a diagonal if you've got ultra wide angle lenses, but it helps if you've got perhaps regular lenses or lenses that perhaps won't give you a full field of view. And basically the process is very simple. I'll basically go around and take a series of photos. You want to make sure that the cameras are roughly at head height so you don't get any weird sort of height effects when you're viewing it with a headset. And basically the process, I use a GoPro remote. It's linked to both cameras. Click on it, take a photo. And then basically what I do is I'll shift it a little bit, move it around a little bit like that, take another picture. And then the more pictures you take, the better the stitch you'll get. And obviously with stereoscopic photospheres, they have to be perfectly stitched. So we're aiming for between 60 to 80, I would say, for the whole 360. So I'll stop that there, finish the photosphere, then go back and stitch it in PT GUI and show how I go about using PT GUI to actually make the stereoscopic photospheres themselves. Okay, so we've got two folders here. We're just going to do the actual stitching in PT GUI. So we're going to open up two copies of PT GUI, one for each of the photospheres. I'm going to use the left copy for the left photosphere and the right copy for the right photosphere. So just import all the pictures there. You can notice that because of using circular fisheye lenses, crop it there. So I'm going to crop the image. I've set it to a circular fisheye, and I'm just cropping it so that it only uses the part of the image, not the sort of the surrounding sort of lens flare effect that you get with these lenses on a GoPro. So you see I've got about 55 images I took. As I said, you want to go from, I think 50 plus. I mean, it really does depend. The more images you take, the less, fewer stitching errors you're going to have. But 50, 55 is normally fine. If you're very close into whatever you're taking your image of, you might want to go up to 80 or even 100. Okay, so aligning the two of the left image. The main difference of this approach, and I don't know if other people use this approach, is that I align the two images separately. So what some people will do if they have two cameras is they will align one and then apply the template from the left to the right. My philosophy is a bit different. What I do is I'm going to align the two images separately, so I'm going to essentially get two perfectly stitched photospheres, allow PT GUI to decide how it wants to optimize the two sets of images, and then I'm going to manually adjust those, and that's quite a simple process, and we'll go through that in a second. So I'm going to load the right images in, and I'm just stitching these totally independently. All I want is two perfectly stitched photospheres. Again, setting a circular fisheye, and depending on your setup you might not have to do this particular step, but as I said, I'll put a link in the description about the actual lenses that I use. Okay, so that's just going through. Right, so we've got the two images. Now the first thing we're going to deal with is the fact that the two images are not aligned horizontally. When you use that tree there, where you see the crosshair from the panorama editor, I'm basically going to align them so they're roughly aligned on the horizontal. I'm going to do that with the numerical transform. I'm going to apply your transform. So we're going the other way. In fact, we need -1. I'm going to apply that -1 degree transform, and so they're roughly aligned. Okay, so they're now approximately aligned in the horizontal. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to create the two panoramas and deal with any vertical parallax in the two images. I'm going to use 2048 by 4096. Set the name there. This is not actually using the PS viewer naming convention. I'm just using a postfix there, putting L underscore. Okay, again set the same sides, 2048. That's the right image. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the GIMP tool. You could use obviously anything. You could probably use Photoshop or anything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the vertical parallax, and the way that I like to do this is by using the transparency effect in GIMP, creating two layers. So let's go into GIMP and have a look at that. Okay, so let's have a look at how much vertical parallax we've got. We've got a fair bit there. You see that little sign there? I'm going to use that to adjust it. So we want to try and remove some of that vertical parallax. I mean, vertical parallax doesn't serve any function other than giving people a headache, so we're going to try and remove that. Okay, so how are we going to remove that? Let's go in to PT GUI and I'm going to use a lens adjustment. Set the advanced settings, lens settings, and we're going to use the image shift, the vertical image shift, to adjust it. Okay, so I'm just going to play around. As I said, it's the panorama editor up so you can see what we're doing. Let's try that. Let's experiment a bit. Let's go and see what effects that has. It's obviously, if you have a lot of practice with this, then you'll be able to guess these things. It's been a little while since I've done these stereoscopic photospheres, so I can't remember exactly the directions that the parameters. Of course, I'm going to do a little bit of experimenting here. So let's go in here and have a look. Oh, well, how's that? Right. So we obviously gone a bit too far there. Let's go back and experiment a bit more. Okay. Lens settings. Let's try that. Let's go a little bit. Let's put this too. Let's try that. Okay. Restitching it. And then we're going to go in here and have a look. So let's see, yeah, that's pretty good. There's still a little bit of vertical parallax. We can do a bit better than that. So let's try just a little bit more. Let's try that. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, so those are pretty much aligned. We've got a bit of horizontal parallax, and the right image is to the right of the left image, which is generally not desirable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just apply a little bit of do a bit more horizontal transforming now, using the yaw transform that we used earlier, just to get the horizontal pretty much aligned as well. In my experiments, I mean the horizontal parallax, the three-dimensional effect really comes from the simple fact that the two images are taken from different angles, and I'm not entirely sure that having a lot of vertical horizontal parallax is desirable. So let's go here. It highlights really this is a bit experimental. You're playing around with the parameters. Really, PT-GUI is not designed to do stereoscopic photospheres. But it has all of the facilities that are needed for this particular method. Okay, so we've gone a bit too far again, a bit overstepped it, so let's go back and adjust that one more time. Let's just play around with this. Okay. And there we have it.